Welcome to the Head of the Breach podcast, where we talk everything offensive security. I'm your host, Casey Cammilleri, and I'm here with Ryan Hayes. We're live at Black Hat. Well, Ryan is a seasoned senior cybersecurity leader with extensive experience safeguarding enterprise environments against evolving cyber threats. Known for his strategic guidance in security architecture, incident response, and compliance, Ryan excels at aligning technical controls with business objectives. A trusted advisor and mentor, he helps organizations build robust security programs and cultivates proactive defense mindsets. Ryan, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
Now, we were talking right before we started rolling, where has red teaming evolved, right? Give me a rundown from your perspective, what's happening with the evolution of red teaming?
Well, I mean, before they even started red teaming, right? We've been doing pen testing, and then even before that, it was just people that were having fun and passionate and interested about the field. But now we're actually shifting into the real red team scenarios where it's emulating adversaries and conveying real risk to the organization instead of just finding vulnerabilities like this new CVE and it's not patched. We're actually looking for how does the business logic flow through that? How are we actually finding risks in the org? And it doesn't really matter of is this a cyber vector or is this a physical vector that we're taking advantage of?
Yeah, and the defense controls are changing as well, too. What does that look like for you and your team?
Yeah, I mean, the defense controls are obviously always shifting, and we're always having to keep up with it. I mean, the traditional cat and mouse game that we always play, right? What we're really noticing with the defensive controls lately is, with AI coming out now, is things are getting faster. And so, for red teams, it means we have to be more disciplined, better OPSEC, thinking about the next move that we're taking and how this might look, or how that system or that person might react to it. One thing that I've noticed that's become harder for us with, the new things I saw here at Black Hat with, AI SOC analysts now, automating that tier 1, that tier 2 SOC analysts. We have to now think about, if I make this move, how quickly is that AI going to alert somebody? And what is that going to look like? Are they going to action on it? Are they going to bypass it? I've seen some of the solutions out here like Salem Cyber and I think D3 was another one that I saw. And they're really changing the game to kind of speed these things up. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, and you, as a red teamer, you land, you're dwelling, and sometimes I can do this action. I know that's going to trigger something in operations, but I have some time. I can move on and move laterally, or just take the IP that I have or the flag I'm looking for. But now that's become so much faster that you have to kind of even rethink that, right?
Yeah.
You land and be like, I know I'm not going to type, who am I, right? I know these basics with EDR, but now it's like, okay, where there was operational defenses and controls put into place that are triggered, now you're saying it's just way faster.
Well, it is. It's a lot faster because, like you're pointing out, right? You're not going to type who am I, but as a red teamer, when I land on a box, I'm always thinking about what's that next move I'm going to make? What does it look like? And how quickly can I do 2 more moves to get away? And with AI looking at these systems, you don't always have that 2 and 3 moves unless it's automated. So now we're also integrating AI in our processes, and looking at how we can make ourselves faster, either with augmentation of AI as like a red team chatbot, for instance, right? Or even fully integrating AI into malware or implants that we use.
It's funny. I used to reference and say red teaming versus EDR is kind of like, yes, it's a cat mouse game, but it's like developer versus developer. If you stop and think about it, right? And with the evasion techniques that red teamers are generating, then it incorporates into product. It's crazy cat mouse game. Yeah. It seems like we're kind of doing that game all over again, except it's like my AI agents versus your AI.
I mean, it's honestly, it's never ending, right? It's always going to be a cat and mouse game. As we identify the risks, they're going to fix them, and then we're going to go find more.
Yeah. But yeah. What's the craziest attack that you've seen a red teamer pull off?
Craziest attack? I mean, honestly,
most impressive.
Yeah, I was going to say they don't really get complex or crazy. I think the most interesting things are usually the most basic ones because it's like, oh, this will never work. And it always does work. I'm trying to think of one recently that we were working on. It was funny that I was like, oh, we're certainly going to get caught. I think we dropped a basic web shell on a machine. It was like, oh no, this is actually absolutely going to get us caught. And we were bypassing EDRs because it was so old of a technique that they no longer were even looking for it.
Isn't that crazy? What's old is new again?
Exactly. Yeah.
And
it's kind of fun.
What's old bypasses EDRs into. That's funny. You have a Navy background. What's one of like the military principle that you instill in your red teams?
I think the one thing that we usually bring forward from the military, and I think a lot of military people, as they go through their career, even getting into management, it's that process and procedure. I mean, you're in the military, they have a process for everything. Like there's a documented process on exactly how long your eyelashes can be, right? it gets insane that these.
Is there really, by the way?
There is, yeah. It's insane that these things exist, but the military is, has deep roots in documentation and processes. And I think having that as a red teamer is absolutely necessary. One thing that I noticed going through as I build up these teams is red teamers are hackers. They want to get on a keyboard, they want to hack stuff. They don't want to, one, they don't want to write reports. They absolutely don't want to write processes and documentations, right? So one of the things that I always come in, the first thing that I knock out is we gotta document things. If a process isn't repeatable in the same fashion, or if you're not sharing knowledge with the person next to you, like there's no way we're gonna get better. You're gonna continue to get, the same hacks, the same, vulnerabilities you're gonna find over and over again because you didn't document that process. And if you go take vacation or if you leave the company, the next person coming in can't repeat it. And so I think that's the one thing that I always bring from my Navy days outside of, waking up first thing in the morning every day early. But it's that process and procedure.
Now you see the benefit, that comes easy for you, but have you found that to be a little bit difficult with other hackers because, they don't like to follow rules and procedure?
It's a mindset shift, right? And it is a counterculture, right? You're a hacker, you're supposed to be avoiding all of these things, and I'm now forcing you to do them. But you really have to show the benefits, right? So if you could find an instance where somebody's like, man, I just talked about this last week, or I just did this last week, and it's like, dude, remember that document I told you to write? Like, this makes sense now to you. You can really show the value, and it's going to take 3 or 4 of those things. You're going to have those, heartfelt conversations with people that they don't like. But I think most time, at the end of the day, they do see it's like, okay, that makes sense. And once it starts making sense, they're all aboard. It's like, oh, I'll write processes for everything, and so it's nice. But it does take a while.
Is there any other challenges with running a red team?
Well, I think the biggest challenge, right, is getting that buy-in. As you start building out the red teams, or even if they already exist, leadership changes in organizations all the time. If you don't have the buy-in from the top of the organization all the way up, even above the CISO, right, all the way up to CEO, if they don't see the value in what you guys are doing, you're never going to succeed.
Yeah.
You're going to continue spinning wheels or waste money and not do anything for the organization.
Yeah. Now you mentioned that teams don't like to report. We all know this. Listening. Have you done anything there that just kind of removes the annoyance and the suck out of reporting?
I mean, we try to automate as much of that as we possibly can, just to get the human out of it. 1, to avoid the mistakes, but 2, to make their life a little bit easier so they can do the hacking that we're paying them so well to do, right?
Yeah.
We try to automate a lot of that stuff. We do slim down the reports just to, show a repeatable process for the individual that needs to resolve this, but then, convey the appropriate level of risk to the organization so they understand it.
Yeah. I find, it's common, right? They like to hack. They don't like.
Yeah, they do.
No, none of us like to write, but unfortunately, you got to prove what you did and explain what you've done.
Yeah, I think a lot of the red teams really understand the reporting piece as much as they don't like it. They do get that piece. So.
Yeah. Yep. Now, is there a common blind spot that you see organizations have? Like when you run red team engagements, organizations almost always fail at this or that. What would be those blind spots?
I mean, I don't even call them failures really, but I think it's organizations don't always understand the visibility piece. What we identify a lot of times is we thought we had logs to see this, or we had detections in place to catch this. And it's like you really show the value there of identifying where, hey, this Windows Event ID should have been ingested into Splunk, and we thought we turned that on 8 years ago when we bought this thing, but it wasn't turned on, all right? Or it's been turned off since then because XYZ reason, who knows? I think that's the biggest piece that we really uncover, right? I mean, everybody's going to find vulnerabilities left and right with new CVs popping up every day, but that's not what the red teams are there to do, right? We're there to find and ensure that we can detect adversaries quickly.
Yeah. So mostly the visibility in the operations and the ability to react is,
Yeah. That's what we're there to do, right? We're there to ensure that the blue teams, the defensive folks, are able to react and do their job as effectively as possible.
Yeah. What do you say is like the number one initial access? So if you're red team and you're testing, externally, and you need to get some sort of initial access, is it still phishing? Is it still through the human?
It's definitely still phishing. I mean, a lot of that has shifted, with everybody has websites, they have applications, forward-facing. Those happen. I mean, really, as a red teamer, we've kind of shifted away from doing, a lot of initial access just because there's always a way in. Why should we be beating our heads against the wall?
Why spend 80 hours, doing
right?
something that is inevitable?
Yeah, I wouldn't say we totally eliminate it. Like, we still do that testing, but it's not something that we do every single op.
Yeah. So you're just going to shift to like assume breach scenarios or something like that
a little bit earlier. Or some other attack scenario.
Yeah. Yep. What does like the tool set, look like for a common red teamer in today's
computers? No, I mean all the tools out there, right? That you would think, I know a lot of the folks are living off the land, but you still need tools. I mean, I wouldn't say there's anything outlandish or crazy that you could think of, but most of the common ones out there we're still using.
Yeah. Yep. Now, if I were to build a red team from scratch, what should I be looking to do? You mentioned the process and procedures, but like I want to hire red teamers. Is there a certain type of mindset, skill set that will make a great red teamer?
Yeah, so before you even get to the hiring piece, like going back to when you're building red teams from scratch, back to what I was just talking about, buy-in. Like, you have to go get the buy-in first. And just because they say, hey, go hire the red team, like, you have to understand and convey to them, I'll go do this, but understand what we're going to come back with that we need to start fixing, right? These are huge risks to the organization. So you really got to hammer in that buy-in. But back to what you're talking about, right? What are you looking for professionals, for red teamers? It's really the passion and the curiosity. People that, you need to understand enough of the IT and the security to be curious to say, well, what if I flip this switch this way and then go to the left instead of the right, like the process said? So thinking outside the box.
Yeah. Now, when you present, because you're talking about buy-in, right? So when you do have that buy-in, and it's true buy-in that you see, right? And you build a team and you come back with results, right? Like, is there any tips or tricks that you've learned personally that works well with delivering those results to other executives, C-suite, management?
It's really conveying the impact and understanding the business, like how they operate, how do they generate revenue, what's the mission of the business, and then being able to utilize that and then show impact to what we found. Just because I found, there's a visibility gap with, this event ID or whatever it might be, turning that on might cost the business $1 million a year. And they might not be able to want to take that risk or take that cost, right? So how do I then take that and convey to them, like, here's the impact of if we don't turn this on, and here's the impact if we do turn this on, and kind of show pros and cons of both, and give them a good, a baseline of what they should be looking at and how to make that decision. But really conveying it all back to the how the business operates.
Yeah, makes sense. Now, you mentioned that your red team is using AI tools as well, right, to combat. What does that look like? I mean, is that to help build payloads? Is that to help identify vulnerabilities? Is it to craft phishing? You're probably laughing because you're gonna be like all of the above, but like
basically, right? I mean, as red team, as soon as AI was the new buzzword, we start exploring it, right? Any new buzzword that's coming out, like, red teams need to be on top of the technology and start exploring it. How do we use it? How can we integrate this into our operations? How can we do that safely without putting the company at risk, right? And so, yeah, I mean, we do. I mean, crafting phishing emails, it's great at that with a little human interaction and help, right? You're not going to just point and shoot.
Yeah.
But I think all of the AI integrations that we've been using have been just more of as an augmentation, right? Craft phishing emails faster and better, write payloads that are stealthier, get me from A to B. It might take a human to a day to write out that code. Well, now they can get a baseline of code in 5 minutes and take 30 or 45 minutes polishing that to make it usable.
Yeah.
So it really speeds us up.
Yeah, that makes sense. And, one of the things that we've found to be helpful in our testing is web applications too, right? Is to actually use the AI to go down in cycles that we would do manually, but like it's kind of similar to developers, junior developers, right? Like go do this task that is just going to take time to do, but it's easy to repeat. And then while you do that, we can go do something else, right? Like, and so now theoretically you have more capacity to do the testing.
We've looked at AI as basically giving every individual on the team 10 interns to go help them.
Yeah.
Right. But it's been helpful. It's been definitely beneficial.
Have you been making any discoveries in, say, AI tools out there? Like, what are the common vulnerabilities that your red team is seeing in different testing? Specifically, again, the LLMs.
Yeah, back to the prompt injection things that we're still seeing data exfiltration or actually exposing data with the LLMs or any of the AI implementations. Very common stuff. I mean, again, as a red teamer, we're looking for those things, but it's more about what's risky, right? The best way I look at the red teamer is like we should be the devil's advocate at the table when any decision is being made, so we can say, that's great, but what if I do this?
And then let me show you the impact of that, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. If you could give any advice to CISOs out there, just with your background running red teams, what would that advice be?
I mean, I think the best advice is if you think you need a red team, you should probably think about it twice. A lot of things that I've seen, when I was a consultant doing red teaming and in-house doing red teaming, is a lot of organizations see the buzzword red team, right? And everybody's like, oh, that's cool, let's go do that. They're probably not mature enough to need one, more than likely. Reach out to a consultant, have them come in and do an engagement, or just have conversations with your security team and better understand what you're going to get if you bring in a red team. Because if you're not ready for it, one, you're going to waste time and money, but you're also going to build disgruntled employees. Because if you're bringing in red teamers, right, these guys are passionate, they want to go do stuff, they want to find stuff, and if they're sitting in the corner and you got handcuffs on them, they're not going to be happy.
Okay. Right? Now I'm going to flip the question and be like, for red teamers, like what would be the advice that you'd give to them?
Understand if this was a red teamer coming into the organization, like understand the organization you're about to walk into. Like, is this one that is ready for red team? Like, are you about to walk into a role that you're the sole person that's in the room that's going to find stuff? Are you walking into a team? What's the dynamic? But do your homework, right? Look into the organization. See if you feel that they're ready for this.
Yeah. No, that's extremely important. It's funny that you mentioned that a lot of organizations are not quite ready because, I mean, I see that quite a bit where it's like, hey, we want a red team engagement, and it's like, I think what you really are probably wanting is a pen test, like we
have a single app, but we want you to red team everything.
Yeah, right.
No, I don't think you're ready.
It's like, then it's like, well, you probably don't know what that means, right? And red team engagement versus the red team, and I do think that's actually where we've made it a little bit harder with the terminology in the industry, whether you agree with this or not. It's, when we said there's a red team engagement, we're basically saying this is a covert pen test that is used with a specific flag to test operations, right? And then we refer to the red team as, pen testers and everyone that's the offensive side, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think we've done any better, helping those that are not in this industry to kind of understand that difference. Blue team is blue team, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the most important things that I do in my everyday job is education. Like teaching, other businesses within the organization what we do, why we exist, what we bring to the table, how we can even help them. It's all really that education piece. And I think you hit the nail there, right? We're not helping ourselves.
Yeah, right.
We've made it very confusing. So
Totally. You're here a couple more days. You're going to DEF CON. Anything new and exciting that you're looking forward towards?
I mean, just exploring AI, right? How are we using this on both sides of the house? What do I see? What's coming up? What's around the corner?
Yeah. Right before you sat down here, I was talking with Tori Westerhoff, which leads the AI Red team at Microsoft, and as we were chatting, ChatGPT 5 comes out, and it's really interesting because a lot of those models have also been battle tested by Red teams, and it's really interesting to think of like where this is going, because guys like us want AI models to help us do our job, which actually can be viewed as malicious, right? Which makes it difficult. I don't know if you guys have found that, where it's like you want to try to use AI, but like it's it has those guardrails, so you have to work around those guardrails.
I mean, we've definitely noticed it. I mean, that's we look at in-house models that we can build or things that we can remove the guardrails from. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's definitely something we run up against.
Yeah. Well, cool. Ryan, thanks for chatting with me. Really appreciate the conversation. Enjoy the rest of DEF CON.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
If you've made it this far, do me a favor and check out what we do at Sprocket Security. If you're ever in need of a penetration test and you want that hybrid scalable approach, the always testing, always on, not this fake click a button, do a pen test 2 weeks and then do that 5 times a year. No, I mean always on, always testing, latest bleeding edge threat that comes out there, latest exploit, phishing, all the way to defense evading, covert operations, whatever type of pen test you need. We'll do it as frequently as possible, and we'll also provide a platform for us to interact together. I've devoted the last 5 years of my life to building penetration testing and innovating upon it and changing it so you can actually do security testing, proactive security testing, in a much better way. Give it a shot. Check us out, www.sprocketsecurity.com.